firing it up. It's 1 minute ago. It should be starting to be live though. Well, it should say starting soon. Starting soon, and Mary is sleeping. We so far have 0 viewers. I guess I should wait for a viewer before I start. Although it would be funny to just start and go. Just start and go. It's 8 o'clock. I don't know what the problem is. So there's no viewers. But I'm going to start because what the heck? I can't wait. Kevin Keller, we have 1 viewer confirmed. So now we can start. Fantastic. Here we go. Good evening and welcome to another episode of streaming live from my living room. Rainy Amish Comic here. Mrs. Comic is on the couch hanging out in chat, and she just tried to put a silencer on a sneeze. Virtually impossible. You are more than welcome to put the Phillies game on the bigger screen. See, this show is the very definition of an ADD distracted paradise. I encourage you because it takes pressure off me. I have the ball game on right here, and I also want to make sure that I know this will piss people off. But I want to make sure the Yankees are probably going to lose, and that's got everybody all worked up, except everybody who's not a Yankee fan. That's a lot of people. So I don't really follow sports too closely, but when somebody is worked up, Yankees are losing 5-0 in the top of the eighth. They're done in the eighth, so they have 3 outs left. They were pissing and moaning about the roof being closed or open in Texas. I don't understand sports anymore, but this is the very definition of a distracted show. In fact, October seems like it should be a really good month for stand-up comedy, but there's lots of things can go wrong. The Phillies can make it to the playoffs. I used to put a jinx on them, but that's not a good idea either. And then football, that can kill stand-up comedy in October. And then Halloween parade and trick-or-treat and all these things that happen in October can make it so dumbass like me is smarter streaming live from my living room, begging for Venmo and PayPal donations or get new people on my Patreon because there's too much going on. You can't multitask at the thing. You can't go to the theater, go to the show, and then put the game on. That's rude. But here now, I encourage this sort of thing. So let's get this thing rocking and rolling here. The baseball game will definitely be a distraction to me. In fact, the thing just happened. I didn't realize how weird that was, but it's a thing. If it's the home team is pitching and there's 2 outs, I did a thing about this about the umpire, how he goes nuts. One, it's 2 strikes, and if it's a third, called strike. But actual fans go nuts when there's 2 outs and 2 strikes on the batter. They all stand up and they demand a strikeout. They demand it. They stand up and they think everybody standing up is going to make it so the batter strikes out. That's a lot of pressure you're putting on the pitcher to strike him out. And also, that strikeout, boring. I think you should stand up and cheer for an almost inside the park home run where he gets thrown out at the plate. Now, that's some excitement. So here we go here. Also, here you see the split personality things of my background here. Moving the furniture around a little bit in this room just so we don't go too nuts. Every so often it's a good idea to move your furniture around. Now, that's hardly noticeable because you have this camera view, so you wouldn't know where the hell this couch was, over here or over there. You wouldn't even really know. But the cat knows. Mary is walking around here going nuts, trying to figure out if we've lost our minds. He's over there. She actually, during the setup process, she ran through here and sat on my lap. Of course, we weren't streaming live, so the cuteness, please send us money thing is kind of completely lost. But she's likely not to make an appearance tonight, but you never know. So when you move the furniture around, it seems like a good idea psychologically to shake up, your day to day. But then you realize that the TV is the centerpiece, and then if you move the TV, I don't like my TV or people walking by can see what I'm watching. I don't like if the glare from the sun hits it. I don't like any of that stuff. So after all this commotion, and if Mary, the cat, doesn't like how things are set up and structured, well, then we're just going to have to put them back the way they were. So that's some fun stuff there. Although back to what can kill comedy in October. Uh, I don't know what year it was, but I foolishly was running my own show in Macungie, right over there at the Mason Lodge, and it happened to be on Halloween parade night, which they should have told me. So that show was supposed to start at 8, and we realized all the streets were blocked off all the way around us. So somehow we had to move my show, which I was already at, from 8 to 9:30, and we did it. I don't know how we did it. I guess people just were so anxious to come to my show they didn't mind waiting in an hour and a half line parade for the roads to clear. So that's more stuff that can screw up the comedy right now in the fall. So we've got that going on. Live gigs, I'm always trying to book them, and folks are so nice. I'm trying to find a new place to do a show out in State College neighborhood. And last week, it's nice of folks to think they can just name a venue and I can just book myself. It doesn't really work that easily. But last Saturday, Mrs. Comic and I were. She came on a road trip. It was out actually a little past, I think it was a little past State College or in that neighborhood anyway. Uh, Almost a 3 hour haul. We got to go past up through 322 West and go see the teeny tiny little Statue of Liberty on the water there. It's actually quite magical. Nobody can quite figure it out. And it was Titan Market. That's what it was. And I thought that was just like a clever name for like a nightclub or whatever. It was actually a market. It was actually a market in a giant old abandoned factory. And I walked in, and it was the comedy was there, and the market was not open, but it looked open, and that was really bizarre. And also, some shopping and/or shoplifting opportunities presented themselves. First time in my 30 plus years of stand up comedy where at the door people ran in and said, "Is the market open?" No, it's just for the comedy. Okay, we're leaving. And then they'd leave and they were disappointed I was there. So that was fun, excitement. That's almost a 3 hour drive. Now, the fun thing was on the way back, I did not heed the warnings that my Waze app was telling me that wanted me to go 81 south all the way the hell out, and I don't know where it was. It just seemed like a stupid idea. Hindsight being what it is, when the warnings come on your Waze app that says the Pennsylvania Turnpike is closed over a weekend, you want to fucking listen to those, because that tacked on. I defied the Waze app. Then it wanted me to go all the way to hell to Route 33 in New Jersey and then double back, and I didn't do that. The turnpike was actually closed. Got off on the turnpike, and then it weaved us through the back mountains of Pennsylvania, and that took another 45 minutes onto the trip. And people get all liquored up on those roads and live there, and they drive like fucking wild lunatics. And it's road rage and me 90 miles an hour in a pickup truck because they can do the S turn. Clee's sister, is that? Oh, is she in the house or do you just?
No, I just said she's busy, but she's gonna watch later.
Oh, that's a good point there. Mrs. Comic brought me up to speed. Clee's sister is not going to be in the chat tonight, but she's going to be watching later on. Always in with the sweetheart extra donation. That's very much appreciated. And also my UnShunned. I'm off the railroad tracks here. Well, I'm trying to get Mary into this live stream. My UnShunned who've been with us forever have to miss Sparky, our beloved cockatiel, as much as us. We have a whole gaggle of these feathers, and my Patreons only. I'm gonna post something. I would like to send you a Sparky feather in tribute to your support of our show, and
Yeah, great idea.
but I'm gonna post on Patreon, and then I'll need your addresses and then you get an envelope with a woohoo. And then if Mary gets famous enough and comes in here, we can do one for her while she's still alive, and we can send you a hunk of her fur ball or something horrible like that. That might be a bit much. I don't really know. So, back to Mary. Now, Mary doesn't look like I moved much around here, but when she figured it out, she went nuts and she started zooming around here and going nuts and freaking out. And now she's all knocked out. Mary is starting to talk. As simple as she's damn near close to being able to say actual hello. Oh, it's right there. And at the rate she's learning words, it's probably gonna be the only words she ever learns. But it's right there. Mrs. Comic heard it. I heard it. That's fantastic. Let's go back to my usual style of being all over the place. It's so wonderful to be performing live again. 6.5 hour commute total notwithstanding, and performing at the market was actually really cool. There's a whole bunch of bits that I have test driven here. Then when I put them on stage and they work, it's fantastic. So thank you for that. I'll tell you a couple of things that are trending in my live show that I've started to work out some of the details here. One is the walking a dog. When we're on dog watching duty, we don't have a dog. So the people who walk their dogs, I tip my hat to you. You can walk your dog down the street. We walk this dog, we walk Daisy, but only whatever when it's, seasonally, like weekend seasonally. And it just loves me because I'm the dog walking man. That's what I am. And it's one of these dogs that's 90 pounds and thinks it's a kitten, and it just runs and knocks into you and it loses its fucking mind. But these people who walk their dogs all the time and the dog shits and they kind of double bag it ninja style, and then they just walk like nothing's wrong. They're fucking mental patients. They're insane because when I'm walking Daisy, I warn her not to shit, and if it shits, I will double bag it. But it's not going to be one of these 8-second double bagging ninja deals. This is like a 9-minute production where I got to make sure that the leash is wrapped around my foot, and so I'm braced so I can clean up the shit. Now I have the shit double bagged, and now we are going home because I cannot walk normally and pretend that I don't have a bag of dog shit. It's the only thought in my head that I'm carrying this dog shit. What if my eye itches and the shit bag comes up? What if I get a text message? That's doing very well on my live show right now. Thank you very much. And it's something I've been meaning to do in the live show. I don't think I did it here, but maybe one time. That it got its world premiere out at the Titan Market, and it needs a little polish, needs some work, but I think cats like me because I kind of got a Lion King feral kind of cat look going here, and I am very sensitive to sounds, and cats, every sound they hear, they think something's trying to kill it, and I can identify with it. I don't think it's trying to kill me, but a sound makes me just everything like this little. I could do it like that, and so when we're watching scary movies and I have full attention on my being scared, sometimes I don't know why I do this. I start to pull my hair like this while I'm watching a thing, and then if the movie's good enough, I will have what I refer to as hair sticks, and so they'll stay up too if the movie's scary enough. So hair sticks got the world premiere last week. I really loved it. You shouldn't love your own performance because that makes you kind of like a douchebag. I don't know if they got hair sticks that well. I think they thought I was making this up, but I was showing it to them. Look, how could I make this up when I'm showing it to them? So hair sticks, boom, roasted. That needs some work, but it's coming. Oh, I think one's up there. There you go. That's kind of amazing right there. So we got that going on, and now we flip this thing on here, and all right, let's see here. I'm always using my notes. Oh. A lot of the material that I perform. Hey, Al's in the house. Fantastic. Al, I have the ball game on. I'm not even watching me. So if you want to watch the ball game while you watch me. That's what this is designed for. So, but when I recycle old bits, sometimes I forget about a thing that I used to perform, and then but by the rewrite and the retooling, that thing comes back. And a couple of those things happen accidentally. I do a thing about we stream TV and used to have to record everything on a VHS VCR, which was about 80 pounds. Looked like a microwave oven by today's standards. It was a real pain in the ass. And we stream everything. And what I forgot was before we got to the streaming, we had a VHS, and then you start to get the surround sound system, and you would put in maybe a CD player, and then a Blu-ray player, and some other tip. Once you like three, so you have a TV and maybe two or three other devices. Now you got. I should have brought one over here. You have like 5, 6, 7, as many as 8 remote controls, all with like 80 fucking buttons on them, and you can only push like 1 or 2 buttons on each remote control, and you have to do it in a perfect sequence or you don't get no key. But if there's one, boom, 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 and we push this, then we change the input, then we do that, then we pick the Blu-ray player, then we do that. And then if you get down the line and you don't have a remote control, you can't watch Dick. I don't know why that's funny, because then we have to look for the remote control, and I go nuts, and I'm screaming, and accusing Mrs. Comic, you have a remote control. Somebody, and everybody has to get up, and we're digging around in the sofas, and then it usually turns out that I had it, and then made a big deal out of it for no apparent reason. So
We have one Apple remote that never showed up. Remember that? We lost one. It never came.
well, that's right. There's an Apple remote control floating in this house somewhere, or one of my friends stole it. So I don't know. The joke's on them. I think it was a little faulty anyway. So that's it's the kind of thing you never get over when you just you just lose this thing and that's it. Halloween scary season right now. I'm watching scary stuff. I'm reading scary stuff. Crazy shows to watch if you haven't seen them. Bad Sisters, That'll Destroy You, and The Patient with Steve Carell, the Office dude, Michael J. Scott. These things will destroy your brain. I told you to watch them, but I can't be responsible with how you live beyond after you've seen them. But if I don't share this with you, then I'll be the only one here that's a mental case. So let's see, here we go there, and we got this. Oh, Amish supermodel on not the catwalk, but the cow walk. This is be from the Stoltz Foods collection, perfect for all occasions. And there's a note here. This bit is not ready yet, even for a live stream. Okay, that was a mistake. My bad. My bad. Let's move along here to this. And my notes. Someday I should organize these so that there's more of a flow. But when I get to some stuff, there's no smooth way to eke it into my show. So this is a thing that would just be random wherever it was. And I don't know. I kind of sort of think I'm having flashbacks to when I worked out at the gym. Ladies who get breast enlargements, that's the dumbest thing you could possibly do. That's the dumbest thing that you could ever do. Those are like creepy asshole magnets. I could understand if someone with big knockers getting them reduced. If I had big knockers like that and I was honey, I just have them removed. And I have tattoos on there of like a hillbilly sitting on a porch with a jug of whiskey and a shotgun and a sign that says, "Stay the hell off of my property." So breast enlargement, that's weird. And it's the same thing goes with if you know people and they're flat chested and then all of a sudden they're 38 double D, do you compliment them or just pretend like they've always had large breasts? It's a weird thing. It's also if people are bald and they get a piece, it's kind of rude to notice it, and it's rude to not notice it. So these are the social situations we're in here. Let's see. Okay, now I'm gonna have to remember to get back to a thing here because I had an exciting Wednesday night. I went to see the King Crimson film with a friend. I talked about this guy before. He likes all kinds of weird music, and he always wants to take me on the back of a motorcycle to drive to southern Maryland to see the flaming pile of mud duck chick frying pan flapjack motherfuckers that got together for just one night only. So we went to see King Crimson. Now I like Crimson. I just can't say it. I like King Crimson, but I never got that obsession that people get with it. And Robert Fripp, the guitar player, he's been there forever. He's running this thing. I liked him more when he got into his spacey Fripp and Eno stuff. I saw Robert Fripp in the 80s, I think, with Clee in a bar room in Philly for like 15 bucks, and he was nasty and pissed off because he didn't want drunken assholes in the bar screaming out 21st century schizoid man. So he put an end to that, right? He came out and he said, "This is not a rock concert where you yell out random requests. I have a prepared show. I hope you enjoy it." And he fucking played it, and that was it. And I heard another story about him, which I can't verify, so I'll tell it anyway. Clee's friend, I won't mention his name, he got, I believe, like an internship with Robert Fripp way back in those days. He went to California, and Fripp was going to teach him how to play guitar, and he already knew how to play guitar, but not with Fripp teaching it. I think the deal was he got to live in the house with Fripp, and he was kind of like a personal assistant. So he had to make coffee and all that stuff. But the story as Clee presented it to me was that Fripp went nuts and just said, "I have grown tiresome of your presence in the house," and just fucking threw him out. And he came back. All these years later, I'm starting to wonder about that, because that guy who got the boot, I met him at a party once, and he was a real fucking douchebag. And I wondered if that he was a sweetheart when he first tried to seduce Fripp for these guitar lessons, if he made him coffee, and then once he got into a comfort zone, he reverted to his normal douchebaggery self. And Fripp's the douchebag in any relationship, and that's what's fun about the King Crimson movie is Fripp every 7 minutes says there were a lot of problems with King Crimson. I didn't have anything to do with any of them. The whole rest of the movie is all people who were in the band going, "Oh, Robert was a real fucking asshole. I fucking..." One guy quit in 1 year. Two of the guys quit before the record came out, before the tour came out. I think they recorded a record, and they were going to go on tour, and the two of them just fucking quit. They said he was so nuts, and so he kind of sort of admits in the movie that he was nuts, but I think he was way nutser than anybody thought he was. So, and there's also, if you go, there's some sad to the King Crimson movie. So if you go see it, it's worth seeing, but it's also sad. And I don't think you can see it anywhere because Emmaus was like the only screening in the United States.
Come out in DVDs.
Yeah, come on DVD someday. So that was a fun, exciting thing for me to watch. Now back to my sports rant. Say sports have really taken its toll on my career. Like when the Phillies are playing, it's a double-edged sword because my fans are mostly Philly fans. That they are, and so I don't want to wish evil on them with bad karma. But then when the Phillies are in the playoffs, then fuck me in a bucket of goo. Then they don't come to my shows. So that's some crazy shit there. So what? And then football's another one. But so the thing that made me nuts when I started watching some of these things is that baseball, especially, is huge on the replay, where the person who does it can watch their own self and actually become audience. Like when a guy hits a home run, he becomes audience and watches himself on the big screen. They do it at football. They show the play 19 fucking times. And I was thinking, it's only the really good plays. It's only the really good ones. Something's going on there. Philadelphia leads 2-1. We got a score update. Spoilers if you recorded it. They were just losing a second ago. And I think sometimes the players can hear the people tweeting angrily at them that their lives are fucking destroyed if they lose. And they go, "Did you see that guy? He tweeted. He said if we lose, he's going to cut his legs off." So he'll live to tell another story. So then the replay happens and they watch themselves. I'm thinking, I actually would really love that kind of thing in a stand-up comedy show, where like especially if I try something new, like the hair sticks thing, and I zing it out there. And first they look at me like, what the fuck is he talking about? There's hair sticks. They are not funny. And then, pow, then I get them, and the hair sticks, and everybody's laughing. Then that's where I would like to have replay. Or in the comedy club, we would pause the thing, and then wind it back, and I could present interesting commentary while we all watch my joke that you thought was fails. Here I go with the hair sticks, and everybody's looking at me like, what the fuck? And they're rolling their eyes. And then over here, this guy didn't think anything was going to be funny all night long, and then in with the zinger, and there you see when I want them, everybody's laughing, and hair sticks and all that. Hey, let's watch it again. So I would like that to be the replay, and that brings me to a thing. Sometimes, I'm not saying I'm smarter than anybody else, sometimes I just wish I could turn my fucking brain off, because I see something, and then I know it's a fact, and it pisses me off about the thing. And the thing that I'm pissed off about tonight with sports is quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are the shit. They get the big money, they get the fame, they get the glory, they get all the commercials, and they also get the most help of anyone in any sport constantly. They basically get help walking on and off the field, and people pour water into their mouths for them and all kinds of shit. They have offensive coordinators, they have quarterback coordinators, they have defensive coordinators, and they're all up and they're watching on like their own personal drones, and they're watching play by play, and they're drawing circles around asses, and then they're going in and they're telling them every fucking step, every inch of the way. The quarterbacks get actual more technical help than someone, a pilot trying to make an emergency landing in a 747 in a hurricane on a fucking short runway gets far less help than a quarterback trying to figure out the next fucking play to run. That just fucking drives me nuts. And that flips back to comedy. So the quarterback calls a play, and it's a fucking stupid play, and everybody's going, well, you can't fucking run it here. You gotta fucking throw it down the field, and boom, he loses a yard, and everybody's fucking mad. Then he gets to run over, and the coach tells him, here's a better play, or a player comes in, here's a better play. I don't have that luxury in stand-up comedy where I tell a joke and really fucking suck batshit balls, and then the player runs in and hands me a better joke, or I go have a meeting. These fuckers got everything by the nuts. I don't really know how they function at all. I don't. I actually have something written about this that I didn't pound this out yet, but the idea being this is that a quarterback who's used to getting all that help, the eye in the sky and the drones and the coaches and everybody's circling ass cheeks and all that, how do they function out in the world? A guy like that, you send a quarterback to the supermarket to get some Twinkies, he's fucking destroyed. He's just probably standing there like an asshole, just fucking staring at people. Are you lost? Like a little kid, and you have to help him out. So it needs some work. Well, that's the idea there. Then he would come home with the wrong thing, and your wife could throw a penalty flag at him and say, unnecessary use of sugar. You bought too many Twinkies, you motherfucker. I'm going to penalize you. Oh no, it's specific to ginger ale. So ginger ale is confusing. Canada Dry is the one. It's now up to $85 a case. That's another story for another night. Seagram's is too sweet. Way too sweet. Seagram's is way too sweet. People take ginger ale before you have a stomach ache. Don't take Seagram's. So the dumbass quarterback would be sent for Canada Dry. He'd be too fucking stupid to find it because nobody was watching in the sky and ran the play in for him and told him what to buy. So he bought the Seagram's. He comes home with the Seagram's. His wife goes fucking nuts, and I said, I told you to get Canada Dry. And she throws a penalty flag. Unnecessary use of sugar. I penalize you. One trip back to the supermarket. There's something there. It's not ready yet, but it's going to get there. So there's that. Now we're moving right along.
Says more concert stories.
More concert stories.
Crenshaw asked.
Oh, more. Who? What?
Crenshaw.
We want Crenshaw stories or concert stories?
Crenshaw asked for concert stories.
Concert asked for Crenshaw stories.
Oh,
Crenshaw asked for concert stories.
yeah.
Okay.
More.
Oh, boy, I got some.
You did the prep.
I got some concert stories. Okay, so Frank back in we used to oh my god, I'm so sad because we used to go back in the Clee days. Halloween we saw Frank Zappa in New York like a couple years in a row. And when people get together and they talk stupid, there's two things you can do, three things actually. You can ignore them. You can be a sledgehammer and fucking straighten them out. You're fucking wrong about that. Or you can play into their madness. And Frank saw, we were in line to go see Frank Zappa, and we were talking about, I think, either Brian Eno or David Bowie. And so it wasn't David Bowie because he's tall. And they were saying, he's really, that they thought he was bigger than this celebrity rock star. I'm going to go with Brian Eno. He said, we thought he was much taller than he's really, really short. And Frank went right in and said, mostly all musicians and celebrities are short. It's a hereditary thing that performers have to go through, and that's why a lot of them stand on boxes and they have a lot of flamboyant stuff on the stage because they want to just boost them up in the air. And the kids are, is that correct? And we're like, oh yeah, it is. And then so we were assholes there to Frank Zappa at the. I don't know where we saw him, but somewhere in New York.
Oh yeah.
It was around a Halloween concert. That was good fun. Also, I probably this isn't that great. That's Crenshaw's fault. I have concert stories, but they're all really fucking boring. All right, so here's another one. Over right that away, before there were Arts Quest and before there were the PPL Center, concerts in the Lehigh Valley were at Ag Hall. Ag Hall is a concrete, giant fucking warehouse garage with no seats, concrete floor, rafters, and the sound fucking bounces all around in there. All the big bands were in there. That's where they played. Frank Zappa played in there, and that's the only one I can think of right now. So the band Focus, this is Focus. Focus was supposed to be on the show with Frank Zappa. They got arrested at the airport for drugs. And Crenshaw, you won't fucking believe this. Frank Zappa had a new album they were getting ready to record, but it wasn't recorded yet. And Frank Zappa walks out cold with his band, and he announced that there was a problem with the opening act and legal problem with drugs and getting through the airport. And so apparently they're not going to be here. So I have renegotiated my contract with these wonderful people here. And since we don't have anything planned, and we're going to be going into the studio next month to record this new album that nobody knows about, if you don't mind, we'd just like to play this album for you right straight through. Who the fuck would mind? I have a problem with that. I can't possibly hear a new album that I'm unfamiliar with. Well, what the fuck? So that was badass. We saw that. And also the rock band Kansas. I saw a lot of stuff because they get free tickets. Kansas has the violins, and they have gorgeous harmonies, and you just wonder how they can do that. I'll tell you how they can do it. When they tour, the band is like 4 or 5 people, and 2 or 3 of them sing. They have like fucking 9 backup singers behind the fucking speakers. That's what I need. I need a funnier comedian behind the couch that I can sit here like this. So that's a good concert story right there. Saw Captain Beefheart at the same bar in Philly that I saw Robert Fripp. And I'm telling you right now, I sat here and Robert Fripp was closer to me than the MacBook. No, about the same distance as that where my camera is. It's about an arm and a half away. And it was a bar, and he had beers, and Robert Fripp sat there, and he fucking glared at me. The Captain Beefheart stood right there, and he was a brilliant artist, and he was actually probably more famous for his art than for his music. Shout out to Clee. And Captain Beefheart brought these fucking paintings that are now probably worth fucking thousands and thousands of dollars, and he unrolled them and showed them to us. And he was very proud of them, and he really heartfelt wanted to know what we thought of them. And I said, why don't you hand them out to us? And Captain Beefheart said to me, yeah, shit. And so I didn't really piss him off, but he established that they were not going to be passing out this artwork. Then also during intermission, the drummer was out on the sidewalk and the band, Captain Beefheart, was hiding somewhere. And the drummer loved this. I don't know why. I guess he got lonely on the road and we seemed insane. And my head was causing him some problems drumming in the front. Like, I don't know if I was making weird faces or I don't know what I was doing. And he said he literally had to look away from me or it's going to fuck up his drumming. And I took that as a compliment. And he also said that he was legally insane. I don't remember what the specifics were, but he said he had a certificate. And he actually showed us he had paperwork to prove that he was insane. I guess that was probably a warning to me now that I think about it, that I probably shouldn't dick with him if I was fucking up his drumming. And then he told me he was legally insane. I put our lives in danger. I didn't even realize that. And she was kind of interesting too because Captain Beefheart music is so weird that I knew this before I met anyone that did it. You have to go, if you never played as Captain Beefheart before, they have different band members. You have to go off to like Captain Beefheart Horror Cabin in the Woods and learn how to play music. The drummer said that the signature times are all fucking wrong. Everything's nuts. You have to unlearn everything you knew and kind of play things backwards. So that was badass. And then concert stories, crying out loud. Oh, here's a concert story. Crenshaw, you son of a bitch, fucking bastard hell, motherfucker. I was going to open for Joe Piscopo, the muscular drumming comedian. After he got off of Saturday Night Live, he went around and he did robot, gorilla, beast, chiseled fucking drummer body. He was fucking terrible. It was just, I can't believe people paid to see him. I was going to open for him at the fairgrounds over there, and his people took me off the show the night of the show because of my affiliation with WZZO, because they were sponsoring. Like, how the fuck would anybody know that I wasn't with the radio that was sponsoring fucking Joe Piscopo? So that pissed me off, and I didn't even stay to see Joe Piscopo, except I wanted to see one stupid fucking robot thing. And I went back to the hotel where Joe Piscopo was staying. I didn't even tell my wife this. And I had Ray Mialis comic T-shirts, and I said, I know Joe Piscopo's staying here, and I was on the show with him tonight. It was such an exciting night for my life. They didn't fucking know what happened. I wanted to give him, I didn't want to bother him while he was working, but I wanted to leave him with this shirt. Could you make sure he gets it? And they said, absolutely, we would. And I had a card in there, and I wrote in the card, your people really fucked me up on my career. You got all kinds of money, and I'm just starting out, and I got fucked up the ass without Vaseline for being on the wrong radio station, and I hope I picked the right size shirt. Huh? That really happened, and we can blame Crenshaw for that. Let's see. My concert stories are not funny, but they are badass. When we saw David Bowie in Philly, and for me, there's musicians that connect. David Bowie, Iggy Pop, Philip Glass, Brian Eno, all these weird people. They figured out they got famous enough to kind of do whatever they want. Brian Eno quit Roxy Music because he didn't want it to be a pretty boy rock band, and he wrote Babies on Fire as a bitch slap to lead singer, whatever the fuck his name is. So all these things connect musically, and I completely forgot my train of thought where this story was going. Oh, David Bowie. So David Bowie was David Bowie. Let's face it. And he was glitz and he was glamour. And he's just done the Ziggy Stardust thing. And he had all the lightning bolts on his face and all that. And he was fucking dunzo. He just wanted to do music and just do fucking music, right? So Tim and Brian Eno were buddies. And Eno had already busted away from Roxy Music, the rock star persona. And he, so how do you do like a spacey song on an album, and then a rock song and a spacey song? I would love to do a thing like that. And Brian Eno said to David Bowie, well, you're fucking David Bowie, man. You can do whatever you want, and no power or persuasion will stop you. The album is low. The song is Warzawa. It is the anti Bowie at the time. It is a drone song. Well, in fact, there's a fantastic cartoon put in on YouTube, David Bowie, Brian Eno cartoon, and it's a mock on this transition Bowie was making, and it's absolutely incredible. And so we knew what we were up against. We got Bowie tickets. We loved the new album. People were pissed off, and Bowie still got turned into be a little bit of a pussy bat. He put all the rock songs on one side, and all the spacey shit on side two, which we were fine with. But David Bowie, no opening act, walks out with the world had not seen him this way yet. A ugly lime green, light green, pastel green leisure suit, which was actually kind of badass. House lights on, no introduction, walks over to the keyboard, fucking cold starts the show with Warzawa. And I turned to Frank and I couldn't fucking believe this was happening to me. And there was a dumbass girl on a chair in front of me. I'm staring at her back and Frank said, "Can you see?" And I said, "No." And he took the chair and he went, and she went fucking flying. And then he said, "Now can you see?" I said, "Yes, thank you." I see now I'm blurry from motion. So that was a pretty good story right there. Saw the Philadelphia Mummers band open up for Yes down in Philly. That was pretty badass. Well, I actually enjoyed the Mummers band a lot more than Peter Frampton. I'm still fuzzy here. Let's see. Fuzzy and blue.
Right behind you.
Go behind me? Well, that's what I was saying before. I need a comedian behind me. Help me out. Go behind me.
Sparky, do it.
Is there a little light here? I can't fucking believe it. I clapped. I did like the clapper as a mock, and it fucking works. How about that? That's badass right there. All right, enough of these rock concert stories. You fucked me up. That's what happened right there. Crenshaw fucked me up there. Oh, bringing back some golden oldies. I did a thing that I forgot about. Before there were malls, before there was Amazon, point, click, and send, there was S&H green stamps. Young people, you can Google that shit. There was a catalog with all the fun shit in it, and they would see the prize, the baseball bat, or whatever the hell it was, and the amount of green stamp books to get that thing was absolutely ridiculous. The bit is basically that I did the Google translation on an iPhone. You really could not raise enough green stamp books in a single lifetime to get an iPhone. It didn't convert. It was bad. In fact, the green stamp books would be the most treasured thing in the house. And Pappy would be on his deathbed, and if the house bursts into flames, save the green stamp books first. On the second trip, get the dog, and on the third trip, see how your mother's coming along. And these peckerheads went and they put the really good. You can Google this stuff. Al probably doesn't even believe this shit. You can Google this shit. They put the really good coupons on packs of cigarettes. A pack of cigarettes had like a 50 coupon or a 100 coupon, and kids actually cheered for their parents to smoke more. And they said, come on, and they did it. Kids, it's chain light. You were allowed to light the cigarette for the parent, but you weren't allowed to take a hit. Keep them coming, and the kid would cheer them on. Smoke, you bastard, smoke. If you got up to 4 packs a day, I could get a baseball bat while it's still fucking warm out. How about that? So that's a special memory right there. Let's see here. Going through my notes. King Crimson. Breast enlargement is a dumb idea. It is walk the dog, Halloween, hair sticks, too many remote controls. Mary learned how to say hello. I told you what to watch. I'm in some deep shit now. Let's see here. I'm a supermodel. That wasn't right. Oh, I know. I was going to check to see if the Yankees lost. I don't know why it's so much fun to hate the Yankees. How I cheer for sports is simply this. A lot of people that I know, somehow I know their sports team. And if that person is an asshole, I cheer for that team to lose because then I know they'll suffer. And so, sad to say, I know a lot of Yankee fans that are assholes, and the Yankees lost tonight 5-0. They are now 3-0 And I actually was hoping for a Philadelphia Yankee World Series because, let's face it, the Phillies are kicking ass, but they shouldn't have never fucking made it to the playoffs. They had a fucking terrible year. The fans wrote them off in July already. Somehow they came out of nowhere. They're in the fucking playoffs. They're probably going to the World Series with like 86 wins in the season. Then it would have been the ultimate humiliation for the Phillies to beat the Yankees in the World Series, whether the roof was open or closed. I don't even know. Alexa, stop! I'm fighting with Alexa all the time now just because I feel like I'm sassy with Alexa. Because it was important to shut off the alarm that I set so we could continue this frolicking frenzy that we're having here tonight. And let's see what else is happening here. Well, this is fun. I'm not going to do too many of these, but I ripped out a notebook and I have no organizational skills at all. My notebooks are all over the place. They have all kind of stuff in them. Um, and a comedian friend of mine, this is a side story, I'll get back to this. He accidentally left his notebook in my show travel bag, and he was opening for me. Mark W. Durius, he was on the WZZO morning show as well. And in those days, we all used the same notebook. It was the standard with the black and white cover and the college rules, whatever. That's what it was. And either I picked it up or he dropped it in my. I probably picked it up. Sounds like I shoplifted it, but they all look the same. I brought it home. Mrs. Comic put grocery lists in it and a few. She cited some birds and then she made notes to put in a bird watching thing, which she didn't have at the time. I felt bad when I found out it was Jaritas' notebook. I didn't know Mrs. Comic had poisoned it with grocery lists and bird watching things. And I took it, returned it to Mark W. Jaritas on a WZZO morning show for our big Christmas show sing along. And I handed it to him. And I thought he would thank me, but he instantly opened it and he's there. Hummingbird. July 3rd, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. What is that? That's not funny at all, dude. That needs work. That material needs work. So there's that notebook. But in this thing that I found here, I used to do Amish porn stars for WZZO. It's this dumbest fucking thing. But this was one of those things where when they had me on a morning show, they let me do as much as I wanted. And as you can see here tonight, the show ended and I shut Baboomsa off because I don't shut up. I don't fucking shut up for anyone. If you let me go, you did it to yourself. And I got to the point where I actually felt like I had taken over the morning show. And Keith was the more passive guy driving the spaceship, and the Bearman was the balls to the walls, power of the show. And he that's amazing. He flipped that scepter over to me so I could be the fucking sledgehammer of the show. That's a tough thing for sledgehammers to do. Crenshaw, you're a sledgehammer. I love you, but you and I, we'd be a great show. We would just sledgehammer the fuck out of each other. Neither of us would get a word in edgewise. And so I had told Bearman, I said, you know, this porn star birthdays and all that, I, I feel like I'm like just, you know, taking over the show. And Bearman said to me, he goes, Raymond, you don't understand. The more you do for us, the less we have to do. That's badass. And so these are so fucking stupid. This one was Amish porn star birthdays. That's what it was. And it would be a featured porn star, and then you would say the name of the porn star, and then you would give her film credits. I think Bearman did them real porn stars, and this was a parody on the actual real porn stars. So this one was this porn star on that day. I didn't put a date on this thing. Motherfucker. Emma Stoltzfus starred in over 127 actual porn films. Emma was the first Amish porn star to rebel against the porn parchment cards that the industry was crippled by because nobody really wanted to buy parchment with dirty, naughty Amish porn star pictures on them. So she rebelled. She was the first one to actually make a film. And she starred in such films as Snickerdoodle Sluts, Spray Some Pam on Your Ham Whores, Volume 37. When I tagged on a Volume 37, Bearman would actually start to choke and spit his Diet Coke. And he would just be waving me off, and he'd be choking while I'm that's just volume 37. And then, of course, the implication there was 36 other volumes. That's where the joke is there. Don't do me all night. I'd rather sleep a few hours. She starred in a film called We're Not Prostitutes If You Call It a Gratuity. uh, Pedal That Vibrator, Mormon Tabernacle Choir. Wait, Pedal That Vibrator, Mormon Tabernacle Choir, Volume 18. That doesn't even fucking make sense to me. Too Many Strap-Ons at the Dinner Table Trollops, number 7. Don't Try the Soup Till I Find My Teeth, Hinkle. Oh, these are, I can't believe they let me say this shit on the radio. Fuck me in a bucket of goo. That's kind of amazing shit. I'm not even saying that one. I'm number 11. I'm embarrassed that I wrote. In fact, right now, I gotta put an end to this. I have to make sure number 11 is never said ever. What the fuck is wrong with me? That's called a penalty. That's a demerit. I have to put a quarter in the actual swear jar for that. This one, Enema Stoltzfus, Amish porn star, starred in Anal Onion Beads and the sequel, Crying from Both Ends. Another one that made Bearman choke and spit. I think I took a few Diet Coke baths on some of these. I don't know. It was hard to believe I actually wrote this stuff out, but who could make this shit up and not get us all fired, you know? Fuck you in a bucket of goo, fly out in a heartbeat, and that would be it.
You know what you could say.
Let's see here. Better than Sheep Sluts, Volume 44. That was one of her hits. Try to Forget, I Used to Be a Man. I was proud of that one. That didn't get a Coke spit, but that was the name of Enema Stoltzfus, is one of her porn films. Try to Forget, I Used to Be a Man. Huh? That's pretty good. I like that. Let's see. This one was called 2 Cups of Milk, a quarter stick of butter, let her simmer, 15 minutes, Volume 12. How about that? Let's see here. Birth control, because we're... No, that's not good. Oh, this one was called Not Using Birth Control Because We're Breeding Farmers. I think some of these we used to just fucking shitbag them. Let's see. And let's see. Oh, and then the big finale, the ones at the end, these were supposed to be the zingers. So these coming up were supposed to be the really funny ones. Let's see. And from the Senior Citizen Sex series, the 70-year itch came a little late. He dropped dead at 69. How about that? So I'm proud of that one. That's one you get in there for a zinger, and that's a good one. That's going to get a blue star. I don't know that it'll work its way back into my show, but let's see. Oh, and then we have to say, how old is Emma today? That was how the bit ended. Then they'd have to guess. Then Bearman and Keith would guess how old. And let's see, how old is Enema Stoltzfus today? Well, nobody will know for sure until this year's fall equinox throws a shadow on the old town. It's kind of folded here. Nobody knows for sure until this year's fall equinox throws a shadow on the old town obelisk. What the hell's an obelisk? I don't even know what that is. I had to look that up. I would never use the word obelisk. This is kind of some bizarre shit here.
Isn't that from like 2001?
A monolith.
Oh, that was a monolith.
That was a monolith. A monolith I would understand. I don't know what the hell an obelisk is. Crenshaw knows what an obelisk is. Al knows what an obelisk is. A obelisk. And if he doesn't, he can ask his wife. She's a doctor. She'll know what an obelisk is. And there's that. So I'm really out of stuff. I have a thing here. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring back some golden oldies from my show. I do some rewrites. So this is really a list of Amish classic stuff, and it's fun to look back and see how much of this stuff could still hang on. I just get it a little tweaking, a little whacking it this way and that. One that I liked a lot. Oh, I know what was funny. Okay. Bearman and Keith always trying to help me out. So we had a contest, and Bearman thought, and it's Bearman's fault that this happened, that to win whatever they would win, they would have to do the punchline to one of Raimi Amish Comics classic bits. And they never fucking got it. They never fucking got it. We did it one time, and then we just thought, and then the Bearman, he just pounded me. He's like, well, you got to feel a little crushed. That's like a signature bit. That's like, that bit's 20 years old, and then it was probably 20 years old prior to that. And people wanted to buy this bit from you, and fucking nothing. So it was nice of him to gouge up that old wound. And one of the old bits was fielding a lot of ridiculous questions after the show, which I used to do it. I used to have a Q&A after the show, and it started to be so bad, I shut that down. And I started to open my show very rude and say, after the show, happy to do a photo shoot, take selfies, whatever, but bite back every urge you have to ask me those 19 questions you just had to know about the Amish. People sit and drinking Yinglings all night, and they come at me all fucking hammered. Hey, I got a lot of questions for you. Google that fucking shit. I'm not your Amish Wikipedia here, for crying out loud. But one of the bits was when the buggy breaks down, do you use four-way flashers? Yes. I light the candle, then I blow it out, then I light the candle, then I blow it out. Stupid shit. Why no mustache? Because we're more aerodynamic in the buggy. How the fuck do I know? And then there was a thing about how did they figure that out? See, hey, Yoder, this buggy don't corner worth of shit. I have an idea. Oh yeah, we are cruising now. So fucking stupid. So I don't have much else left here to talk about. I'm gigging again. I don't know when I will be streaming again because Friday night I'm going to be going to Binghamton, New York to do a show at a place called The Spot. And there's so many places called The Spot in the country that it was literally impossible for me to tag them on Instagram or Facebook because 9,000 The Spots came up. So I'll be there. And I got a Fire Hall show the following night. I'm not 100% sure where that is. Terrible at plugging shows. Mass Theater, though, I'll be there New Year's Eve. Sellersville Theater, day after Christmas. Boxing Day, that's a lot of fun. Crenshaw was at a show, Sellersville Theater show, when I was doing the Black Amish tour with a friend of mine, Earl David Reed, who I love, but he's really fucking nasty on stage. That's his whole thing. He's like Don Rickles, and he talks to the audience. And if you stutter, if you don't know your name, if he asks you a question that you should know the answer to, and you hesitate, he will fucking annihilate you. He will just bust into a wrestling match and twist you around like a pretzel until you fucking cry, Uncle, Uncle, Uncle. So, I never do this. But my dear friend, Crenshaw and Sandy were going to be at these cabaret tables. And I warned them. And I never, the only people I ever warned about Earl in there. Listen, I love you guys, and Earl is going to talk to you casually. And it's a trick. And he's not used to someone who works in movies. Crenshaw is an art director for films. He makes blood and chains and all kinds of shit. And his wife, Sandy, is like a historian professor. I'm there. Those are really interesting jobs. When he asks you what you do, don't make shit up. He has nothing. I've done 40 fucking shows with him. There's never been anyone who worked in film, an art director, art designer, set dresser, I'm sorry, Crenshaw will be mad at me because I don't know, or a historian professor. You will fuck him up. He'll have fucking nothing. He's used to looking. Somebody works at the bank, and somebody who drives a truck, and somebody who works at the post office. This will fuck him up. But what did my good friends do? They got clever, and I wasn't even listening, but I heard some shit going on, and somehow Sandy became a whore, and I don't know what happened after that, and it got a little bit ugly, and then because of this happening, I came out, I opened my own show, it was my turn to come out, I came out and said this, Sandy and Crenshaw, friends of mine, I fucking warned you. I fucking warned you. I fucking warned you. I warned you to not fucking make shit up, but you didn't fucking listen. No, you couldn't be a historian professor, and you couldn't be someone that works in film. You had to make shit up, and I told you he knew you were a fucking liar. You just did it to yourself. Now, there's no finer way to end my show than that. I love you folks so much. Thanks for watching. Send us money. I want to get more people on Patreon, and I'm going to be sending Sparky Feathers out to our Patreons. I'm going to post a link on there for you folks to private message me your address, and I promise it's not a trick to come and rob your house. Well, the cat burglar cleaned us out and left Sparky Feathers. Very unusual. So have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Go Phillies. Fuck them damn Yankees. I'm sorry, but they did it to themselves. I'm the fucking assholes that I know. And there's probably some nice people that like the Yankees. And if you know anybody who likes the Yankees and this is causing them pain, I'm sorry, but this is one of the few pleasures I have in life is watching sports teams go. Now, one other fun thing, and I don't recommend this because I think it's bad karma. I won't even say whose idea this is because it was family, and I won't even say that I love the actual idea. There's different ways to cheer for sports, and this person who shall remain nameless gave me one of the most brilliant ways to cheer for sports. He was looking at the big picture, not just for a team to lose tonight. He was rooting for injuries for the big name players. That's some fucking weighty shit there, and I think you're playing with dark forces. And there's Richter in with $5. I'm gonna call you, Richter. I promise I'm gonna call you. Hound me, hound me, hound me, hound me. Oh, also, Crenshaw's in the house. Yes, Crenshaw and Sandy got me these. There's cows. There's colorful cows. They're fantastic. I don't know where they got them, but these came from like France or Denmark or Walmart, and then they just made it up to make it sound cooler. But that's pretty fantastic there. And I think that's pretty much around. I'm Mr. Oh. I don't know if it's just me that does this, but I sort of think it's the guy thing. I hear a piece of information Mrs. Comic will tell me, and then I will not process all the details of that thing. Perfect example, Josie and Al in the chat here tonight, I thought they were in Vermont because they're planning a trip to Vermont, and so I heard this, and so obviously that means they're in Vermont right now. So I texted them earlier today, assuming they're in Vermont, and telling them, I hope you have the opportunity to accidentally drive on the ferry into Vermont, because I did. We went up there to see Philip Glass Ensemble, and we stayed at a B&B, and I was driving, and a GPS, not the phone at the time, the fucking road was just gone ahead of me. It was just fucking gone. And I thought it was a glitch. I thought maybe I needed a software update. I don't know what it was. And it was just fucking gone. And then we turned around a little turn like this, and I actually drove us on around that turn, put us on the ferry. I accidentally went on the ferry. And if you think that's bad, the ferry started to move, and Mrs. Comic didn't know we were on the ferry when it was actually moving. Now that is a wrap. I can't top that. And you definitely want to try to go on the ferry accidentally on purpose. It's a one-time thrill. There's no turning back. If the GPS says the road is gone, you're on your way. You're on your way. Have a wonderful week. Thanks for watching. I love yous, and Mary slept to this whole thing. She absolutely slept to this whole thing. That's impressive. All right, folks. Good night. I'm going to do this. Let's see. Stream ending.